I also do worry about housing delivery. Government's got this magic thing about 1.5 million houses in 5 years. That's 300,000 a year. But they are trying to do lots of positive things. But I think the clock is ticking so fast that they're going to run out of time. We've just finished a residential market cycle, and now we're starting a new one. So it does feel nasty now. The future's positive in some ways, but only because we're at the bottom of a trough. Hi guys, thanks for coming to this podcast today. As we're at the time of filming, obviously it's December 2025, so we're near the end of the year. I spoke at the previous Pillars in the Room event a couple of weeks ago, and my theme was, is this the end? And I said, no, but it's almost the end of 2025, But I think there are lots of negative thoughts out there, and there are lots of negative indicators as well. I'm just wondering, I've got a few things that I'd like to say, the way that I read things. What do you think, Mark? Let's start with you first. What do you think the situation is right now, and some of the negative, if you like, prospects for 2026?
Yeah, so we've recently had the budget, so we've had to calculate, how much projects are going to cost to fulfil, complete. There's a lot of negativity with regards to contracts and work for the future. Some of our sort of rivals and colleagues are experiencing a slowdown in work that's coming through. The pipeline for 2026 is looking a little bit more bleak than usual. So who knows what's going to happen in the new year? It's tough times ahead, I think. Obviously, with the increase in costs and additional sort of expectation for like health and safety as well now. So there's a lot of additional costs included in projects, which has made it slow the whole sort of scenario down.
Mm. Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? Like I say, it's very
Yeah,
hard to get many projects to stack these days, even
correct.
with sky high build costs, which contractors can't suppress. It's impossible to drive them down to levels that clients might wish, combined with flatlining values or even declining values.
Yes.
I was talking to one of our clients a couple of days ago, who's based in central London, and he's very down at the moment because what they're finding is values are down about 20% in some central London.
Wow.
A £5 million house will now be 4.2 million. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. And he's even saying some of the rental market is quietening as well. They are finding quite a few Americans are now moving into London, into the rentals,
Yes.
thank goodness. But generally, its prospect and outlook is quite negative. I also do worry about housing delivery. Government's got this magic thing about 1.5 million houses in 5 years, and obviously that's 300,000 a year. I think 2025, the latest stats anyhow, are something like 185,000, which is the lowest in quite a few years. So obviously 185,000 is a long way short of 300,000. And if you base on what you've just been saying, it's possible the starts on site now and in January to actually deliver housing in 2026 could even be worse, couldn't it, potentially?
Yeah, I believe
So
so.
they could be down at about half what they were intending. And obviously, personally, I believe the government is trying. I was going to say doing, but they are trying to do lots of positive things. But I think the clock is ticking so fast that they're going to run out of time because they've not got 5 years left. They've got about 3 years left because it's 3.5 years till the next election. Unless they start delivering in a way that people understand and appreciate and feel in their pocket that in better housing, I think they could be in trouble at the next election. But certainly lots of negativity out there. And like you're touching on before, things like the Building Safety Act, the Building Safety Regulator being so far behind in delivering, Gateway 2 projects, larger projects and higher rise projects, which particularly affects London, of course. So that's places like London and to a lesser extent Manchester, but certainly London, that's where a lot of the large schemes and the high-rise schemes are based, and developers saying they'll never touch high-rise ever again because of the new two-staircase rule. Some of the indicators and the prospects are quite negative, aren't they, for next year?
Yeah, I feel so. And even like with the high rise situation, the health and safety is far more stringent. You have to put more plans into place to achieve that. Getting sign off is becoming more difficult. So I think across the whole industry, I think um, the production and the sort of delivery has slowed down, extremely, like, to a extreme level. A lot of people are looking at different ways to get profit out of property now. I also think that people are looking at different ways to deliver something that will give them a better return as well. So it's it's a difficult time, and as you said, Americans are investing in London, as are Chinese and Korean people. Um, the Chinese have also got the embassy approved now, haven't they, in London? So there could be an influx of different kinds of building requirements, and the industry may take off. But delivering of houses is a difficult one because the value of a property, to build, unless you're retaining it, it is very hard to sort of make a profit on for people that were once flipping houses. That has slowed down, to a massive extent where it's not that common anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You've hit the nail on the head there as well about holding property,
Yes.
because we're fortunate in a way that a lot of our clients, I may have mentioned before, do like to hold property, and they're actually building to hold. So they're not holding because they have to,
Yeah.
they're holding because they want to. So things like even the aged living sector,
Yeah.
obviously they're holding that as an asset.
Yes.
We do a lot of PRS, co-living, micro apartment schemes. Obviously they're holding that almost as a money-making machine. And also lots of other clients who are building blocks of flats, normal blocks of flats, they wanting to hold.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you want to, you can capitalize the rental income at 7% or what have you, based on the locality. So that the thing does stack up. But certainly building to flip, like the days of building a house and selling it quickly for a huge profit, those days are long gone, aren't
Yes, they are.
they? Yeah. How are you finding it, Mehrdad, right now?
I think going back to your point, it's quite very simple math saying costs of construction, the averagely from 5 years ago is almost increased about £500 square meter. Say now you're roughly thinking about £1,800 to maybe £2,000
Yeah,
average per square
Yeah.
meter.
Yeah, we normally
So
say 2.5.
yeah, so it's very like again simple math. Like 2 bedroom, 75 square meter flat, you're thinking about 150k cost of build, apart from cost of land or like a professional fees or anything like that. And so this is going to be like making it least attractive for a lot of investors when you're going outside of London. Like for example, even Maidstone, maybe flat is about like 230k, 220k. So it's very low margin. And then when you go a little further, it's even the margin is even less, so even not even economical to build a lot. But from possibly one, I wouldn't say positive, but the optimum or the turning point is going to be this year because all these costs gone up. They're now everybody just know they know the expectation. So everybody expecting next year or the next couple of years is everything is going up rather than going down. So most investors I think now thinking about like instead of selling it, so just building it, like larger developer, but just renting it out, just waiting a little bit longer because inflation is okay-ish now, so you're not really expecting increase in the construction costs over the next year, but you're expecting increase of the sale and the price and values going higher.
Yeah.
So it's just giving a little bit more, maybe like um, um, like a engine just running the industry for that part. But at least public sector is still strong. Even the budget, you still have like 120 billion pounds for the construction infrastructure. NHS also they have a lot of projects. Schools they have lots of projects. So for businesses like a small and medium-sized businesses, they still have the opportunity maybe just to um, maybe just having the amount of pipelines in the works they need to, and then also contractors to do that. But again, everything as you said last year was negative. I believe it was better than 2024 in overall, but it could have been better. We expected a lot better budget as well. But next year is still positive in my opinion. I don't know if you're having the same.
Yeah, I think that's very insightful, Mehrdad, what you just said. It's just triggered something in me. I read a very good post a couple of days ago on LinkedIn, and that was saying basically what's happened. We've just finished a residential market cycle. Normal cycles like 6 or 7 years overall. So that's finished now, and now we're starting a new one. So we are. It does feel nasty now, but we're like it's an idea, and it's going to start growing now, and we're now entering a new cycle. So like I say, the prospects for that, decisions made now, if they deliver in 3 years' time, say, and obviously planning is good for 3 years, which will, the future's positive in some ways, but only because we're at the bottom of a trough right now, and we're going to grow forward. How have you found, given what you're saying about public sector projects? 'Cause I know basically you do lots of private residential, you do lots of NHS work, you also do flood defence work. Has the sort of breakdown of your projects changed because of that? Are you doing more public sector work than you might have done, say, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, last 2024 and 2023 were more like residential sector, private sector.
Mm.
But 2025 was a lot stronger in public sector, especially NHS, and some larger developers like conversion of the offices, especially offices in London, to flats and residential. It's very popular now. Still, that the BSR application, that the 18-meter like threshold for just going for the BSR application is just holding everybody back.
Mhm.
Like I remember we had quite very large project for in central London. They wanted to have like 3-story extension on the existing structure, but because of that BSR, they just reduced everything like 1-story or 2-story extension to
Just
make
to get
sure
under the threshold.
exactly,
Yeah.
because the cost of it's not just professional fee, but also like fire regulation. Everything is a lot more onerous, and you have to just deliver more robust structure, safety, health and safety, everything, which is fine. I understand why they want to do that, but sometimes it's not really proportionate.
Mm.
Like when you're comparing like 5-story building just reaching that threshold, and then 20-story building, they're all more or less being treated the same.
Mm.
So it's not really proportionate for that like a medium range of the structure. Maybe we should just define something. But anything. Anyway, this is what I'm saying. Um, Now everybody, they know what's going on. They know with the um, uh, golden
That's right. Yeah.
gate for that BSR application. They know how this should be done.
Mm.
And inflation is almost stable, so we know the construction
Mm.
cost. The only thing is just the sale cost.
Yeah.
Still, a lot of people struggle, especially first-time buyers. They don't have the support like Help to Buy support
Mm.
or stimulus schemes. That's the only thing need to be maybe a little bit pushed and supported
Yeah.
just to
Yeah,
allow for.
right. Yeah, there will be, and we do have lots of positives, guys. It's not all negative. We're just keeping it real for now. But there are positives at the end of this podcast. It's not all bad news. But hey, we're just keeping it real. Sharing the negative experiences right now, really, aren't we? I mean, what are you finding, Mark, on your sort of breakdown of projects? Because obviously you do everything from small projects right to very big ones, don't you? As well as some maintenance works as well. And obviously, a few years ago, people could do like a rear extension on their house for like 35 grand. And as you know, you can't build anything for 35 grand. It became like 65, 75. Now you're looking at maybe 90, 95 for any kind of extension, and up to 150 or 200,000 pounds for any kind of decent rear extension. Kind of things that we like. With the big bifold doors and the huge kitchens and skylight lanterns, etc. I mean, you finding you're having to do less extensions and more of your own work? I know you develop as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. So we found a change in the market as well as Mehrdad has. The private sector used to, have loft conversions, extensions, wraparound extensions, quite regularly. We were getting between say like 5, 7 inquiries a week, where that's dropped down now to about 2, 3 inquiries a week for that sort of work. We do a lot of property maintenance. We also do refurbishment works. We do work for social housing, which there's a big demand for. We also do our own development, so we create HMOs from a 3 or 4 bedroom house into a 6 bedroom or bigger, like into 7, 8, 9, 10 sewage and areas properties. There's a massive demand for that because all of the bills are included. So that's your rent, your gas, electric, water, internet. It's all included within one cost. So a working professional, somebody that's homeless, send tenants, um, everyone is able to budget better for what their income allows them to have. If you've got good amenities around, you've got good transportation, that adds obviously to the value of the property and its location of where it is. A lot of people are, even sort of working professionals in London are going into HMOs in, around Medway, Maidstone, Swale. There's a big demand for that. Commercial work again, has increased massively. We do a lot of that. We do a lot of work on places like theme parks, courts, sports centres, fast food takeaways, and drive-throughs. So there's a lot of demand for the entertainment sector, which had massive effect from COVID. Had their businesses were reduced significantly, where people had to keep their distance and stay away, and so forth. But I think the hospitality, entertainment industries are starting to increase, obviously, the income that they once experienced, pre sort of 2020, and they're sort of now spending money again. And it's nice to see, but it has had a massive shift on the kind of work that we've had to carry out for the clients that we work for.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, basically, that's the business sense of diversification, isn't it?
Yes.
Lots of businesses in every line, so like the farmers, for example, another businessman having to diversify.
Yes.
So it's a question of not getting sort of stuck in your ways and not just focusing on, certainly residential to sell.
Yeah.
Is a nightmare these days.
Yes.
So we're lucky. I mean, we're very much focused on residential. Like I say, we're lucky in the sense of what residential we work in.
Yes.
So we work very heavily in the aged living sector. We work very heavily in people who, PRS, co-living, like I say, people who are hoarding buildings.
Yeah.
We also do a bit of commercial work, a bit of church work as well. So we've got that diversification ourselves, which is obviously essential going forward, isn't it? I think what we'll do, let's give the guys some bright prospects for 2026, because there are lots of positives out there. I'll go first if that's okay, because there's probably about 7 or 8 things that I'd like to say. Like I say, I think from the government's point of view, they're trying to drive a lot of this positivity, but my own feeling is if they're not very careful, they're going to run out of time. I mean, the classic case really is the new towns, isn't it? I mean, I don't see any shovels in the ground building new towns yet. I don't even see any finalised plans of any new towns yet, or even hearts of new towns or suburbs of new towns. But there are lots of things that are happening. For example, even in the private sector, JP Morgan just committed to building the biggest office block in the UK, which is a £3.5 billion office block in Canary Wharf. And that will be their brand new Europe regional headquarters, which is fantastic to see that money pumping into London, into the UK. We've also got things like the new East-West Railway from Oxford to Cambridge, which is partly using existing track, but lots of new track and new stations as well. So you're talking about multi-billion-pound investments. Also, lots of these mini nuclear power stations are going to go ahead. Also, big data centres. So the government is pushing for lots of things, not just residential. They're pushing for lots of the other things that the country needs so desperately as well. The Universal theme park, of course, huge amounts of private investment. And I was reading just yesterday, they've already started building that. They're already excavating the lakes as part of that. And that's supposed to be opening in 5 years, well, about 4 years now, in 2030. That's when Universal, which would be great fun to have a day there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If anybody owns a hotel or anything around Bedford Way. But yeah, Universal is a massive vote of confidence in the UK. Also, the doubling of Luton Airport, which of course is related to Universal, so people can fly in from overseas to visit UK Universal. Expansion of Gatwick Airport. So there are lots and lots of big positives going on. I mean, one thing, it does remind me of a really nice quote that I like that somebody mentioned to me once is, do we have enough people? Do we have enough skill set? Do we have enough time? And it also triggered in me the idea of, do we even have enough concrete? Because I think you mentioned to me about HS2 has got the first dibs on all concrete produced in the UK right now.
Yes.
So everybody else gets the concrete that HS2 doesn't need or doesn't want, because they've got they've got the legal right to do it.
HS2, all the professionals working from that project, now they are just going around, like as you said, new nuclear power stations or like expanding Gatwick Airport. Also, a lot of coastal defense upgrading happening, like a flooding issue. We have more storms now, so whoever is just around the coastline, they need to allow for more like wind pressure. And you would be surprised, a lot of people underestimating the wind pressure near the coastline. But it is when you actually see, when you're just passing through like the building facing the sea, you could actually see this is the wear and tear is quite a lot more stronger. So you could just see everything is just corroded
Yeah.
and then all damaged because of the wind force, or they need more maintenance.
Yeah.
Um, and then also NHS, which are not stronger than that one. Not just construction, because when they do retrofitting, they need to allow for a lot higher standards now, especially for ventilation. They have a lot more new AHUs or condensers, and in the UK, like we have quite very famous manufacturer in terms of AHU, which is quite helping the economy at the same time. But yeah, as you said, public sector is strong and driving the economy, I think. So that's quite a positive point for next year.
It does. Actually, you've just something in my mind that you've just reminded me of is workforce and skill sets, isn't it? So if you think about it, all those engineers who were tied up on HS2 can now move on to all these other things, onto the mini nuclear power stations, data centres, these railways, new roads as well. I was driving near Cambridge on the A14 just last week, and the roads and the investment going in around there, and the railway stations and the housing as well, is absolutely phenomenal. You're talking about billions and billions of pounds. And basically, they've produced a brand new A14 parallel to the old A14, effectively, and downgraded that into a B road or whatever. But it's absolutely incredible compared to some more moribund parts, you would say, of the UK. Because I remember, because I'm a fervent believer, I talk about residential quite a lot, but I really do believe in infrastructure, which I know you're very tied up in. Partly because I was living in Hong Kong for 10 years, of course, and they were spending hundreds of billions on new underground railways, new railways above ground as well, and the new airport, of course. And I remember one of the companies, I think it was Mott MacDonald at the time, just one company had 1,000 fully qualified engineers on site alone, in addition to all the engineers back at the office, which is phenomenal. So, like I say, things like HS2, I know it's run well over budget, but at least it shows that things can be done, and those people can then move on to these other projects, can't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's lots of positives going forward.
With that HS2, I think it it just helped the whole industry just to learn quite a lot from that, because you need to have like transparency, making sure people being honest. I know a few people have been charged for like misleading information, especially at the quantity surveyors. But I think now it is a lot more people are more cautious about like they have like more honesty. They tell the client the truth. If the cost or if over the budget, they need to tell them from the beginning before the start of the project, before they actually go into the project, which is quite very positive. And as you mentioned, it's all the professionals impacted. Like now, all people from HS2 now just around Guildford or Gatwick or even Kent or Cambridge. The only thing is Eurostar Tunnel. They had some announcement after the budget. They're going to stop all the investment, um, holding it just to have some more evaluation or assessments about their internal investment. I think they had a little bit maybe shocking from what they expected from the budget, but eventually they are coming back to going back to their investment anyway, but everything's going to be a bit more expensive, I'm expecting.
Yeah, because there's so many projects going on. And of course, one thing I've not mentioned even, which is a few miles from where we're sitting right now in the southeast of England, is the Lower Thames Crossing, of course, which is another multi-billion-pound project, which is finally going ahead. And it's really nice because one of the problems in England, we spend 10 or 15 years doing flipping studies, don't we? I nearly swore there, guys, but I won't swear. But I mean, things get studied to death in England. You could build like 6 airports in China in the time we take to do one study, which is crazy. And the government has just done a review, mostly relating to the nuclear sector, haven't they? And the lessons from that are going to be taken forward into all infrastructure. But for heaven's sakes, let's build things more quickly and cheaper, and stop spending money. I mean, obviously, one of the reasons for the HS2 overspend was decision making, wasn't it? So it would have been cheaper, but for example, tunnelling under the whole of the Chilterns. So all the rich, posh people in the Chilterns say, oh, we can't possibly have a new railway near my house, So the government took the decision to tunnel under the whole of the Chilterns. It's not like the channel, it's actually land, but you're tunnelling underneath it. And then the £100 million bat tunnel, of course, which was purely for the bats, where they built the railway and just covered it up with almost like a cylindrical dome, if you like. And even ecologists that I know think that £100 million is a crazy amount of money to protect a colony of bats, I mean, you could spend, you could give 100, so you could give 100 projects £1 million each for eco, or even 1,000 projects, 100 grand each. It's just a crazy amount of money, isn't it? So maybe that was the wrong decision to create that bat tunnel. So maybe decisions like that, in a holistic way, if you like, still doing the right thing, but in a different way, maybe that's the way forward. I mean, what are you finding, Mark? What positives do you see for next year? Do you see any? Surely you must see some positives.
Well, you can see that obviously, Thames Crossing is going to be, or Thames Gateway, sorry, is going to be a good part of infrastructure, getting people from Kent to Essex. Silvertown Crossing's now up and running. Birmingham are looking at building a new football stadium, as are Manchester United. So I think it's going to be good to see how all of these developments sort of when they start, how they see the project through, what comes of them, and the amount of work that's going to be generated in the industry. We're seeing that a lot of people are spending more money on their houses to sort of upgrade the facilities they have within them. So they're putting en suites, they're putting in cloakrooms, upgrading their kitchens, extensions, whether it be a single story rear extension with bifold doors and with a roof lantern. Wraparound extensions is another popular requirement as well, because it gives the possibility of having like a larder, a utility room, as well as a cloakroom on the side of the house with the additional dining room and the open living space as well that people want. But we're also seeing that people are closing certain rooms and creating rooms within the house to have things like a snug. People are having saunas. People like lazy spas and hot tubs in the garden. So the things that people are asking for. People are spending money on their properties. It's just times are a little bit tougher, but I think people are being far more cute with the way that they spend their money and how they want to live and experience life.
Yeah, you mentioned about everyone just looking for something cheaper, but a lot of people learn it quite very difficult. Not all the time cheaper is better. I mean, most of the time cheaper is just going to be finishing more expensive. I had a client, I think 6-7 months ago. They had two or three different quotations, so very very different. So one of them from a contractor just doing internal alteration, maybe about 20 grand, and the other one was got maybe 40 grand, 50 grand. So I said, okay, I'm going with that. I can't trust them. I'm just supervising them. And the contractor started to work, doing some demolition, some initial structure work. They didn't follow the structural drawing. They didn't follow the architectural drawing. And they got the money, about I think 15 grand, and then they left. So now the client has to spend another 60 grand just to extra. So it's about 75 grand in total just to what they wanted to do. So a lot of people learning that in very hard way, in a difficult way. But it's just the culture. You need just maybe to speak more, maybe just giving the culture to the people, like all these construction elements. Even within the construction, as a structure engineer, I'm not allowed to comment on installation or on like how to buildability of the construction work, let alone how the clients allow themselves to instruct their contractors directly, or that's quite just causing a lot of confusion between all the parties, and then going into the dispute, the problems.
You're right. A lot of it comes down to communication, really, doesn't it? Because being able to articulate and justify added value. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because obviously, being immodest, we're very good architects. You're a very good developer, builder, and you're a very, very good engineer. But it's a question: how do you articulate that to the client? How do you distinguish yourself from a cheap consultant or a cheap builder? And very often that comes to communication. So it's the scope of work. So rather than just having, emailing somebody, 55 grand, mate, or doing one side of A4, you actually justify it in the scope, or even seeing people, sitting down with people in a virtual meeting, or actually in the room, going to see a client, and they'll be able to see, wow, this guy's miles better than that other bloke, he deserves to be paid more because I'm reassured he's going to do a better job for me. So, I mean, that is a communication skill, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's we've lost a lot of jobs to other builders that have quoted cheaper than us, but then the client will come back to us, later and say, we're not quite happy with the way that they've done the build, what they've carried out, or even the way that they've structured the pricing. They may have gone in, say, half or at 3/4 of the price that we were at, but with all the extras, they go in sort of nearly double what they, originally quoted initially. So we have a lot of conversations with our clients. We offer the opportunity for them to see projects that we've worked on through photos and videos, and also to see sites that are running at the time if something's similar. And we've also taken clients to properties that we've completed, so they can speak to previous clients and see what their experience was of us, the way that we ran the job, the way that the budget and the payments had all been structured and worked out, what complications were faced and how we addressed and overcame them. So it's a lot of communication that needs to be held, and bearing in mind the amount of money that is being spent on things like an extension or a refurbishment, a new kitchen, new bathroom, that it's large sums of money. So you need to be in a safe sort of mind space, knowing that it's going to be carried out the way that you'd hope it would be, and to everyone's satisfaction, to sign off, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, you're right. It's a big ticket item, whatever,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
So I always say you can spend £1 million well, or you can spend £1 million badly. Or if something's going cheap,
Yeah.
you could either spend £1 million well, or you could spend 700 grand badly. So people do need to give this a lot of thought. About quality
Yes.
and value added is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, especially in times that we're facing now, where following the budget, costs are higher. There are a lot of sort of building companies that are going bust because the costs are exceeding obviously their income and not allowing them to progress. With their businesses. It's not nice to see, but hopefully in 2026 we'll be able to say that we've gone through the worst of it. We're in a cycle of sort of being able to deliver some good projects for clients and have some happy stories.
Yeah, what a good place to do a wrap. I
Yeah.
think we'll wrap it there, guys. Because what we've done, we've kept it real. We like to keep it real, don't we, always? So we've said all the negatives and bad things, where we've been and where things are right now. But there are lots of prospects for positivity for 2026. So we do wish you all a great Happy New Year, guys, and a very positive and successful 2026. Okay, cheers, guys.
Thank you.